right, Mr. Donnie, you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Going to bring personnel health safety meeting to order Monday, November 10th, 2025. Start with roll and holding camp. Start, please.
Jeff Am,
Steve.
Jeff Hart,
Bill Donner.
Evelyn Reed, instance of home.
Steve Brown, Frank Baptist.
If we have forum, or state that FOI lines, apparently I have not engaged in any discussion, deliberation, or polling regarding any item in this meeting outside of the properly noticed of the meeting. Lines, Arkansas Freedom of Motion Act is amended, Act Title 5.
Yes, sir. Alderman Baptist,
Yes.
Alderman Brown,
Yes.
Alderwoman Spencer Cole,
Yes.
Alderwoman Reed. Yes. Alderman Donner,
Yes.
Hart. Hart, yes. The lines.
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Alderman Camp.
Yes.
Thank you. Our first, we to approve the minutes of October 13th, 2025.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor? Any opposed? Passes. All right, first, item for business night is city clerk status, part of part-time or just banking.
Actually, the city clerk is here to be able to, but I can start off. Ordinance 33 of 2002 is the ordinance that we'll be talking about tonight. And in that one, it details the city clerk's position is part-time, and the city clerk has requested there be a slight alteration to that legislation.
Any questions? If not,
Yeah, does that mean though you'll work 40 hours a week, or does it just say, there's not an hour a week or out of time on any of that? Right. Great. She works in well. Oh, I know she does. Trust me. Yeah. Can, one other question, what responsibility, it says were added, were there more duties that were?
and went from a part-time assistant to a full-time assistant to manage.
Any other questions? Yes,
Just to,
sir.
just to be clear, by repealing the status, it doesn't change any cost. There are no cost impacts at all, either from a salary or benefit perspective. Is that correct? I'm worried about getting ready to approve the budget next. week. Want to make sure there's no budgetary. No benefits, additional benefits cost.
Large.
Thank you.
Paying any extra.
She is contributory. She started to be contributory. I believe it was complete.
Share morning, share.
Yeah. He gave all three of the elected officials that. And Alderman Lee also, all of the elected officials, the three, the city attorney, the mayor, and the city clerk have been budgeted in our, as long as I've been here, so almost 10 years, has been budgeted.
Discussion. All. Any opposed? Passes. Next thing on, city attorney department ordinance. I will help Rick do it. Okay.
What reason this one came about, it doesn't change. That when we went to papers, if you recall, it's an ordinance that y'all were in. It said that the elected officials had the choice between staying with the bar or leaving the papers. But during the course of trying to get prisoners out of the actuary and papers, our actuary person said he felt like passing ordinance specified that maybe it doesn't change the benefits for anyone prior if it's with the good system. Doesn't change anything. Just clarifies it by quoting the statutes of the mayor, the city attorney. Like it can be done. That question.
Bruce, yeah, if you don't mind, just to be clear, I want to make sure I understood what you said, Mr. Mayor. So this affects the current folks in those roles going forward, whoever the next mayor is, whoever the next city attorney is, would all go in.
That is correct.
Okay, just wanted to be clear. on that.
Because that, the acreage ordinance made that. Clear. It does not affect any prior people that are on time, like our previous city attorney.
Just for again, so did the three officials that we're talking about, did they all choose to go into the acres or keep it going?
believe 2 went to acres and 1 stayed. What's 1 stayed on? Can you say thanks? Two out of 3. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second? Second. A motion and second to approve. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Passed. Next item on our agenda is the first.
And when we moved to acres, we kept waiting and everyone kept asking. Dalton Park asked about 30 times. We had figured yet. We had figured yet. 31. Well, we actually just got the figures Friday. They changed it twice since Friday. We really anticipated, as we told this council, started the process, we'd have to phase everything in. Good news is we do not have to phase everyone in. There's about $4.4 million to transfer from old account into the acres account. And we'll have to spend $546,000 to fully vest everyone that's non-uniform within acres. That's great news. We have that money on hand in cash. If you remember a few years back, we designated $800,000 into a salary designated fund, and we can utilize those funds. Move everyone to acres fully vested. We won't have to phase anyone. I think it is their condition. Did y'all hear me down at that end? Yeah. So you want me to repeat all that? I'll be glad to. I mean, we don't have very many meetings tonight. So. Questions? One time, that's it. And then we pay what we budgeted to. Thank you. I'll be honest with you, it's 100% better than what I anticipated. Because I anticipated it costing us a couple $1 million, and that's the reason I told everyone from the get-go we would phase people in, but we don't have to phase them in. Clear the original plan. That is correct. Yes, yes, sir. That is correct. Thank you for clarifying that. Yes. Which account is that? The restricted salary account. Yeah, we have to vote on. We'll have.
Have a budget with this piece of legislation.
Y'all hear that? I know the air condition just went off, but this road would authorize it, but then we'd have to have a budget vote also when it comes to finance.
Any other questions? Motion made, second. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Thank you. Vote. Motion carried.
Before we move on, I just want to thank Nicole because I probably went to her office as many times as all part asked me about it, asking for figures, and she kept making a phone call and then we report back nothing yet. So get tired of seeing this.
Bring that to business. Our HR director here tonight. Maybe. Good.
All right. 3 minutes. Yes. Members of the committee, thank you for allowing me to give an address. Thank you, Afton, for arranging this time. I've got to set out some of my stuff at time's sake, but we'll begin with the City of Benton Handbook 2025 edition. We have a copy available. Please turn to page 22, item 25. It states, please understand, the city cannot assume responsibility for loss or damage to any personal property of any employee. Should not leave any personal property at work. Seems pretty cut and dry. However, what does one do when ordered by a supervisor of personal property? What steps are to be taken when the order is contested? Supervisor insists that his orders are being followed despite one objection. City assume liability at this point. What recourse does the employee have? Still with it comply? What happens then once property is lost or damaged? Why is this significant? As Captain stated, been an issue within the fire department, specifically with my battalion chief, Chief Tittle. He has a personal or standing order that states anybody acting captain, any captain or acting captain must carry their phones and answer immediately. There is no such policy within the fire department. It actually conflicts with item 24 on page 21 of the 6th policy to keep personal cell phones on silent as to not interfere with their work. Robocalls and telemarketers constantly bombard many of our phones. Group text, just like ordinary text, are a common distraction. I do my best to comply with this. Personally, I'm not one who likes to stay glued to a device like many in modern society. I enjoy the time where I don't have to be interrupted by the inevitable call about my cards extended forms. My wife knows that I will respond when I stop and check it. If there's an urgent issue, she calls the station landline. I can appreciate his desire for a timely response, but do not feel that compulsory usage of personal property for city business is appropriate. Fire department has landlines, computers, portable radios, pagers, as well as a battalion chief having a vehicle. There is no shortage of means to contact on-duty members, city provided equipment. C shift battalion chief conducts a Zoom meeting every morning. You may be thinking, I see your point, but cell phones and texts are much more convenient. I agree with that. So does the city handbook. Page 44, Title 8, Information Security, Section Alpha, Communication Systems. See that the city explicitly as well. It is the policy of the city to provide or contract for the communication services equipment necessary to promote the efficient conduct of its business.
3 minutes. I have one given attention. Okay, all the ladies will give you attention. Go ahead, sir.
Thanks, so. The city explicitly agrees. It is the policy of the city to provide for or contract communication services, equipment necessary to promote the efficient conduct of its business. In that section, communication services and equipment include, among other things, instant messaging, cellular phones, smartphones, etc. The last sentence of this paragraph reflects page 6 echo
and also in the city handbook, that all work-related communication is a public record. Being required to use personal phones for city business opens each of us as a public record. I repeatedly voiced this concern, but it has fallen on deaf ears. I'm in no way requesting that the city provide each of us as with a cellular phone. Instead, my suggestion is, as it has been, that a duty phone be assigned to each unit. This would be a reasonable, common sense remedy. Telephone usage is a required skill for firefighter certification and fire academy. Routine daily activities, tasks often require telephone usage. Fluid nature of our job, cellular phone makes sense. While I was initially conversing with Captain, I noted to him that on the morning of September 21st, Station 4 did not receive tons for a call. The department uses an app called Streetwise, which sends the dispatch information to the tablets on each unit, and members who choose to install the app on personal phones. Providing a duty phone for each unit give redundancy to this system for instances when the dispatch system malfunctions. Happens more frequently than it should. The telephone network is also prone to malfunction. Yet another example of the redundancy that should be considered essential for our line of work. Routine tasks that include usage of a cellular phone include but are not limited to key holder information, provided key information, dispatch while responding to emergency calls. People have scanners, don't want your provide door code broadcast of some scanner, so they'll have this contact, give us information, safety. Communication with supervisors while not in orders. Communication with the training officer while conducting training, as with the fire marshal while conducting business inspections, school programs, contacting business owners, scheduled business inspections, pre-plans, communications with other stations or units, training, taking pictures to include on pre-plans, taking pictures of incidents, supplement incident reports, contacting poison control on emergency incidents, contacting Contract or other appropriate agencies as to material incidents. Each of these tasks create a public record. Contacting business owners to schedule presents a number of issues alone. I have an out-of-state telephone number, as do multiple other firefighters. People frequently decline my calls on conducting business on my off days. With the amount of spam calls, I don't blame them. With this in mind, how is this promoting efficient conduct of the city's business? In addition to more likely answer of a call, having a city number populate caller ID shows a more professional demeanor, random person who just happens. Another untouched issue is that many people in current society do not respect regular business hours. I personally receive phone calls at all hours and all days of the week regarding my business. My favorite is 10 o'clock p.m. on Sunday. Someone calls, asks if I can know. That's happened. When personal phones are used to contact business owners, schedule inspections, the person has no way of knowing whether or not they're working. They return a phone call, place a call, and ask a question. Should the BFD member who made the original call then be compelled to answer while off duty? Would the BFD member be expected to answer while on vacation or out school sporting event, or when the phone rings at the obscene hour? Another pertinent question: will the member be paid overtime for answering the phone? According to BFD rules and regulations, number 46, line Bravo, the member must be paid a minimum of 4 hours of pay as a requirement of work calls past service leave time. One benefit of a duty phone in the above situation is that an on-duty member will answer the phone in a timely manner. Should the member who placed the original call not be on duty, the reason for calling can still be addressed. The reason is a scheduling issue, a note can be left or an email sent to ensure prompt delivery as soon as the party returns. The answer is simply for the city to provide duty phones. This would be the captain's responsibility, turned over at shift. It's like our radios, pagers, and all of their equipment. In my conversation with Absent, he expressed concern that someone may leave if their possession is about duty phone. Simple solution is to realize it back. No different. I've walked out of the station with a pager on my hip before. I got down the road, reach for something. Dang, I forgot the pager. Walk out of the house, without something, walk back in the house. It's a pretty simple solution. If you leave the house without your coffee cup, excuse me, I lost my place. Under current operations, specifically on A shift, a member faces disciplinary action for getting a personal item home. You leave the house without your coffee cup, you just don't have coffee until you get to work. You leave the house without your cell phone, basically order of financial sanctions, paperwork, and your disciplinary. How is this appropriate? This part I don't think is as relevant as when I originally drafted, but basically the question from my next statement is if you can be ordered to use one piece of personal property, where do they go? The example I gave Absent was one of the other shifts at the station has been Western Paint for nearly a year now. Station. I do a lot of painting on my off days. That's that. So if administration shows up with 5 gallon tank and they then would be playing in drop cloth scaffold developments, I can be ordered to use a piece of personal property for use all the time. And that may seem like a stretch, but to me it seems relevant. I do wholeheartedly appreciate the time that Captain took to hear my complaints. But I do also understand that you've got to have a balancing act. Portray interest best manner. Stance was that on page 44 regarding communications does not say but sex. Read it in black and white. Instead, it's cross-reference to Benton Rules and Regulations, 19 section 30, stating something that it does not actually state. Yes, we are required to maintain a telephone at all times. Nowhere is compulsory use of daily business mentioned or required. Maintaining a telephone, the common industry standard is many departments have some sort of callback system in place for large-scale emergency and natural disasters. That's, to me and to many others, that is the spirit of regulation. If a tornado comes through Benton, they won't be able to call us back. If someone calls in sick, instead of going to your science station, especially with them, hey, I need you to go to station 3 tomorrow. That's the purpose of having a cell phone. It's not it's we're required to wear uniforms that are provided by the city. We're required to return maps, a CPA, other items of personal protection, all of which are provided by the city. Our emails, database information are provided by the city. Computers on which these tasks are conducted are again provided these tasks. It only makes sense that if we are required to use a cellular phone or text messaging. Requesting a phone be assigned. Yes, sir. There are, for information, there are 5 engines, 1 truck company, 1 rescue company that time sheets. That's 8 line units. You wanted to include the administrative personnel and get chief, assistant chief, fire marshal, training officer, administrative captain. It's 5, so that would bring the total of 13 phones for any local. I'm more specifically requesting for the online daily units of responder calls.
So currently, maybe chief, this may be for you. So currently, we ask our employees to use their personal phone for fire duties.
That, may I, sorry. I appreciate that, Mr. Lee, and Mr. Hart, if I may backtrack to your question, yes, line personnel are being required to use personal phones for city business. That's what brought us here tonight. Um, and I'm not sure that Afton quite understands how the dispatch system works for the fire department. Our dispatch center is downtown. They dispatch the entire county. When a call for service comes in, they have a paging system. Wherever the address populates, to say 220 South Main is fire department, just for example. If a call for service came in at 220 South Main, they send the closest, most appropriate unit. They dispatch through a paging system. We carry pagers that tune the frequencies for our specific station. So we're not being called on telephone or to respond to an emergency. Volunteer service way back in yesteryear, that was a phone tree was a thing. That is no longer accurate. Additionally, if we're out and about in our units, typically have our radios turned on and we'll hear tones or dispatches start talking. Engine 3, 2717 Edison for respiratory.
That is part of its job. They call me for a patient. It says it in the rule regulation, so it's not like it's blindsided. That's difficult. Your employee knows that.
Can I ask you a couple of questions? So, I guess I'm a little, I would say confused. There's a lot of ways to skin a cat, right? You know, use that old metaphor. So I guess I'm trying to get my head around what what's the best solution for this issue, right? 'Cause I don't pretend. I mean, I respect what you guys do. I don't pretend to know the full details of what you guys do on a day-to-day basis, right? But with that in mind, you know, in my profession, I can't imagine being anywhere without, right? And for both personal and business reasons. And to some extent, I'm sure you guys feel that same way, right? In both some personal, mostly personal, probably some business. But I guess with that in mind, is there an opportunity that would satisfy what you're trying to get to instead of having a duty phone that's that's shared within the battalion? Is there and could potentially add significant cost? Is there an opportunity where the city could make a nominal payment to each person on a monthly basis? Because we do that in our business, right? We do some cell phone reimbursements like that. But if it is part of the requirement from a communication perspective, and I'm making stuff up here, right? So this is don't hold me to anything, but if the city would offer it doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of communication by that. Correct me if I'm wrong. If the city were to offer a $5, $10 a month reimbursement firefighter, does that change anything for you guys? Does that change your perspective on anything, or does that still not solve the problem from your perspective? And again, I'm just looking for solutions.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. Could be a step right direction. I do believe that some departments have something similar in place, and I would be glad to look into that. y'all would like, see if there are any other departments that have something like what you're suggesting. See what the costs are and then what the requirements are to participate.
Brown, I think my mistake that Alderman Lee had a motion.
I apologize. I didn't stand to say it.
Here it is. So what's your motion, Alderman Lee? For the vehicle?
That would ultimately handle this issue.
And you got a radio? Okay. Yeah, have a motion, but I understand, I hadn't got a second. So I'm just clarifying all the leads. Motion to phone it, vehicle, fire department, that's
I still like to have a question. So if we were to do these additional 8 lines, they're still gonna request your personal number, if I understand correctly, so that in case of those opportunities arrive, they still need to get a hold of you. Would that be correct? And what you're saying is you would have still a problem with that?
No, no, sir. Yes, we need to have our phone numbers on file. It's for, the spirit of that is for callback, for additional help on emergencies. That is an industry standard pretty well, nearly every department, and the times that you are called are few and far between. And that's typically, like I said, of a tornado, large weather incident, multiple alarm fire, or being transferred to another station. So those are few and far between. My issue is compulsory use on a daily basis for department business. There's a number of policies that prohibit us from using city property for personal business, but the opposite is being required.
So we do require them to use their personal phone to call a business to schedule a survey. And it would show up as his name and not Benton Fire Department. or anything.
like Steve Brown said, one way to skin a cat, you say, okay, I've got a phone, but I'm not gonna answer it. So you're being in compliance with the rule, but don't answer the phone.
Before the chief speaks, Chief, can I just ask one clarifying question? Is this a request that's coming from the union as a whole? Okay, that's what I want.
I was gonna say, yeah. It doesn't state required. It is a past practice that's occurred since the beginning of cell phone. 77 uniformed employees, 1 civilian employee. No one has a city phone. This is
Right, we have redundancies on top of redundancies. We have a overhead paging system. We have a paging system that they can wear on their hip. They have phone lines. Sure. Yes. The, it's a personal usage issue with Mr. Ridgway. It's one of 77. If there was any more complaint or issue to it, I believe the union would be in promotion. But no, it's past practice. It's a communication issue. Mr. Ridgway has asked even our secretary to relay any work or business related information to his email, but yet he doesn't have email away from his workstation. So there's really not a good way to communicate with Mr. Ridgway if he doesn't want work related information coming to his phone and he doesn't have work email away from him. So we're in a catch 22. He may answer his phone if he gets called in. I don't do the call, but I know that he's asked not to be contacted on his cell phone. Not when he's not at work. So it's
So if his request for Brand put the phone on the truck doesn't solve that problem at all,
it doesn't solve 100% of it. No.
because the phone would have to stay in the truck. He's still not going to answer his
Correct.
phone.
Correct on that. There's not been one instance where I've been contacted off duty and I've not either answered or promptly returned the phone call. Thank y'all for your time.
All right, we'll take a 5-minute break before we start the, finance. Committee. We'll resume at 5:55.
Zach, so we don't want to do that. That is not a, that's, we don't. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You don't, and you don't. No. Well. But it's. Oh, but it's. Oh, yeah. Third. The old house. Yeah, fierce.
Brian, so ready down there?
Mr. Brown, 5 minutes are up.
Finance Committee meeting to order. We are a couple short. Or do we want to wait a couple more minutes or?
Let's go.
All right. Call the meeting to order and establish a quorum by, announcing the presence, starting on my far left with Alderman Kemp. Alderman Lee.
Here.
State your name, please.
Steve Wood, Trevor Lawrence, John Mark.
Tom Farm.
Captain is not even.
Elvin Reed. Steve
Frank.
Brown.
Frank Baptist.
And Bill Donna's walking up.
Statement of FOI. Engaged in prohibited discussion, deliberation, or polling regarding any item on this meeting's agenda outside of a properly noticed and open meeting in compliance with the Arkansas Freedom of Information Act as amended by Act 505 of 2025. Ms. Spicer, call the roll on that, please.
Yes, sir. Alderman Baptist.
Yes.
Alderman Brown.
Yes.
Alderwoman Spencer Cole. Alderwoman Reed.
Yes.
Alderman Donner. Alderman Barr. Alderman Hart.
Yes.
Alderman Lyons.
Yes.
Alderman Lee.
Yes.
And Alderman Peel.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. First item on our agenda tonight is the approval of minutes from the October 2025 meeting.
So move.
Motion to approve in a second as presented. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Next thing on our agenda is the big utilities finance for September.
Y'all just got me, Jimmy decided it was opening weekend of deer season, so he's out in the woods. Y'all have the financials in front of you, but he also gave y'all a September highlights, but just to kind of go over the highlights of the, September month. There was a revenue over expenses of 684,000. And now that last number I won't even say, the last 3 digits. And year to date, we are revenue over expenses of $4,157,657. Again, we were positive in, the areas of electric and, wastewater. We were actually expenses over revenue, $263,979 in water. The biggest reason, we did have a positive month is because, we received a reimbursement of $974,514 for the Benton Parkway Sewer Project. That was, we bid and, paid expense through our budget, the extension of the sewer line to the nursing home down on Benton Parkway. Once the job was completed, we then got reimbursed for our expenses. So that's what actually caused that. You can see on the capital dollars, for the month of September, we spent $1.4 million in that month. And, I think he pointed out on electric, what was it, we, again, during the month of September, there was a 9/10 of a penny reimbursement in the power cost adjustment. We gave back to the customers the month of October, it was a 0 power cost adjustment. And just from what I got the bill today. I think it's gonna be a credit actually this coming. I think running money before I left, based on a bill that we received today. Uh, the other items to bring up, based on the water and sewer ordinance, we were supposed to provide you CPI index increase that would be happening on water and sewer rates starting in January. But due to the government shutdown, calculated CPI in the month of October. So we do not have that number. I can tell you the September number was 3%. Okay. Just for reference. The other thing to bring, just to kind of give y'all an update on, is next, we are going through our budget and we'll give y'all with our approved budget for the December finance. They was presented to our commission in October. They reviewed it. We had questions in the November meeting, open discussion, then we'll have another open discussion in December and be approving it.
Sorry, regarding the CPI, that I know that, I understand that you don't have that, does the ordinance say that that is every year, or will there be a year when that is eventually? And once they get to once you feel like that, those departments are self-sustained, would we not want to take another look at that, say, we continue to need increases?
We can do
Is that something that, I think it'd be a great thing, and things are tight, but if we get to a point where we feel like those are self-sufficient like they're supposed to be, that they weren't in the past, but maybe you can give us some guidance on it.
Yeah,
in the future.
I totally agree. The way the ordinance is reading, it's continual, but I think over time, if we see that it is our capital purchases, satisfactorily starting to maintain our system, we can readdress that. I can tell you, I'll just give you a heads up on the budget. You're gonna see the budget. We're actually going to show a $5 million of revenue over expenses. It is 100% in electric. We're breaking even in water, we're breaking in wastewater. We tried to set out, I'm telling you, this is how much money we have, this is all you can spend. Okay, reason we have that in electric is our challenges going away from these fixed price contracts. What's happening in the electric market, we're going to start looking at buying generation. Okay, that is not cheap. More than $2 million. Okay, do that. So that's why we'll start to build that cash so where we can do this without doing some bond issues on some local generation. I would compare owning your own generation. One of the major benefits that Benton has over surrounding cities is we own our own water treatment plant, right? We control our own destiny. I can tell you there are cities out there that own their own generation and they have own your own generation, you control their own destiny a lot better. I can tell you, and I know Mayor visited Conway owns their own generation, Jonesboro owns their own generation. West Memphis, owns a portion of their own generation. So I've been on calls. We're all looking at that together as a group, buying even more, but it's going to be substantial dollars.
Currently, we don't buy it.
We own 5 megawatts at Palm Point, which is located in Osceola, Arkansas. Take that in reference, say 5 megawatts of city keys, 85. Yeah, it's very small.
Any other question? I do have one, just an administrative question. It's just curiosity, but the monthly, adjustments based on usage, how does that affect our, systems that are on levelized? Is that just, is that factored in the next year's wage?
Yes.
I thought it might be, but I didn't know that we had the problem. All right, any other questions? Not anything else you want to? Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Next thing we need to do is we need to actually bring something forward from the personnel, health and safety, meeting, and that was, the ordinance related to, funding of the, in a, there's not an ordinance, resolution number on it yet, but it was in the packet for the previous meeting, so, I just want to add that to our agenda, and, entertain a motion to move that forward. Again, this is this is the resolution that would take the $546,580 from the, reserve salaries account and bring it forward to be able to fully fund all employees, in one place. Any questions, discussions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to move that forward. Motion in a second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, thank you all very much for that indulgence. Next thing on the agenda is the 2026 budget. Ms. Spicer, you want to speak to that? Or Mr. Mayor? Whichever.
I'll get started.
All right.
Bottom line is, it's the exact same, but not the two paths with issues. Difference is that we felt like we need to give some kind of increase to our employees, which takes place in June, 2.5%. So the department heads went through and found money within the line. It's about $200,000 pop hit to the total budget. And so they accommodated that by making some cuts in American. It is a tight budget, but as you can see from this past month, we've been 75% over where we were last year, so we have to keep it tight. And since the revenue comes in, we'll make some true up budgets to make some adjustments. I guess we'll go. So go over line item by line item, however y'all want to do it. The books in front of you, the information in front of you. I'll turn it over to Andy right now.
So I did meet with several guys and they all had some great questions. Again, to follow up from the mayor, we did take the last 12 months of actual data. And I walked several of you through that, looking up on the screen. So you could see for the first ever how many months, whether it's 7 months this year, 5 last year, 8 months, 4 months. We tried to factor that so that it was a realistic number as far as revenues. Did meet with each one of the department heads for them to be able to tell us what did they feel was realistic for next year. So rather that be Stephanie in Parks of what she really thought would come in as far as memberships or aquatics line item, or Bruce as far as community development's revenues. So each one of the department heads had a true buy-in as far as their line items on revenues, as well as their line items as far as expenditures. We did put in the 2.5% increase for all of our active employees. That was in June 1st, 2026. Just other than that, it's pretty much the same. If you have any direct questions,
Just so I think I know the answers, but the retirement and all of that matches acres with those new numbers for this.
so great question. And several of you guys had that question.
Same thing about health. Curious if those
We're budgeting.
numbers are reflected in this or if it was done.
So last year when the council did vote for the move to acres for the non-uniform employees, we knew that that increase was going up to 15.32%. for the employer portion. What previously been budgeted was somewhere between 10, 11, 12. So that was built in the 24 budget for half year. So half a year at 10%, the other half 19.32. And then we knew all along 25 was gonna be for the full year. And so that's how, 26, sorry, that, 26 is for the full year. We also knew going into the 26 budget that it was going to be an increase. So when we sat down and looked at that, we put in a 10% increase. What we did receive was a 25%. So we had to split the sheet there. We took on the 10% that was already budgeted, which you guys already budgeted. We did our best to be able to retool and figure out what kind of savings we possibly could. And then the employees took the rest of that. 25% increase. Now, the 25% increase was only on the traditional plan. Health insurance was not on high deductible. So if our employees who have high deductible, their premiums did not increase. It stayed the same as it did. But the 10% for the employer portion was included in the budget, so therefore we don't see a change. So nothing has changed from last month when we gave it out to you to today. Nothing has changed. It's still the same.
Question? Other question? Not understand motion to approve. There's a motion. Are you second? All right, there we go. Now we're all square. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Next thing on the agenda is October 2025.
If you'll notice, your financials look a little bit thinner. They went on a diet this month. They are down to about 18 pages. We did this because most of you guys just look at the summary sheets. So at the end of this meeting, we will send out the full 86-page financials that has all the line item details and the bank account balances. So you'll receive those in your email. But we felt for conciseness, we would stick with this high-level summary. If you'll look in your left-hand tab, you'll see your sales and use tax collections. October of 25 over October of 24 was a 2.69% increase. So year to date, 25 over 24, we are in the positive 0.75%. And so we're moving in the right direction with sales tax. If you will look at your general fund summary, you'll notice there were a lot of expenditures that happened within the month in general fund. The number one thing that I'll bring to your attention is in expenditures, operating transfers, special revenue funds. Last month when the audit was approved, half of that money goes into financial stability accounts. So that money leaves the general fund and it goes to special revenue. That was roughly $600,000. So you will see that as an expenditure in that line item for the month. But then the financial stability balance over on the bottom left hand increased to 2.2 million. So the money's still there, it's just in a different fund. Another thing is right below that, you'll see operating transfer 911 operations. There's a special checking account that's set up for 911 consolidation. That's where that checking account comes from. But we received the invoice for the first 9 months of 2025, and so we paid the county for our share of those operations. And if you'll go up to, you'll see operating transfer animal control. That has to do with the shelter. So remember there is a checking account that was established so that we have enough cash before we open the animal shelter. That's the expenditure that hits for the animal shelter. There was an invoice in that now. So if you add all of those up, that adds up to roughly what we were in the red for. It's actually more than that, correct, but it explains where that big swing.
So without those. Special transfers.
Correct. But those special transfers, just so everybody understands, came from cash on hand and it was built.
They were budgeted.
They were all budgeted. The animal services shelter, we always knew that was a $2 million ordeal that was going to get our cash balance. And therefore it has to be expenditure, in one fund or another. So all of this was planned. So I didn't want anybody to have stickers on.
And look at the year to date, like all of it.
Correct. Yes.
But that's about it.
Correct. Some of the other exciting things that happened was in the street fund, we purchased a salt spreader, $17,000. The street improvement fund, we wrapped up the South Shoreline project. That wrapped up the entire project and $548,881.06. So we're having to mark that project is complete.
Anybody have questions?
It placed that order, but it's not.
They had to build it. They're not simple. Hopefully we'll have it
Hopefully by the end.
by in this month.
Any other question? Right, I do have one question. I know about ordinance, we set aside half of the surplus each year for the financial stability fund. Do you mind refreshing my memory? What's our target? There, it's over $2 million. Have those, have in mind.
Well, our target's to try to
Thank you.
but we don't have a target spending. That's just working hard to see that.
That's what I want to clarify that. For sure. Any other question?
Just in general, I know that, we set compensation, I know, for elected officials and everything through an ordinance that I believe, brought forward in 2022. Set the salaries and how those are all done. I think it ends in 2026. I remember reading.
Okay.
There was a big discrepancy from where we wanted the mayor, where the mayor was, where we thought the target was. I didn't feel like we could afford to do all the catch up at one time, so we set targets. Okay. Any other questions? Sure.
What the conditions. Conditions.
Jeff Am. Dave Blake. John Hall. Steve Brown.
I affirm that I have not engaged in any prohibited discussion, deliberation, or polling regarding any item on this meeting's agenda outside of the properly noticed open meeting in compliance with the Arkansas Freedom of Information Act by Act 505 of 2025. Frank Baptist,
Yes.
Steve Brown, Vince Renzo, Evelyn Reed, Still Donner, Jeff Moore, Doug Martin, Sherman Williams, Steve Lee, Jeff Henry.
Yes.
Can you refresh my memory on what C3, I guess maybe include? Well,
It's most inclusive of. commercial business. Three, as I recall.
Bruce, is there an advantage to them calling that as C3 versus, of course, school zone? I mean, it's obviously it's what's going there, but
Under the current planning, under the current zoning ordinance, only public schools are allowed to have the S designation.
that makes a lot of sense.
And that was kind of, I think, maybe overlooked coming in the application. However, it was remedied in the course of the meeting. But the C3 then had to go along with the conditional use to allow private school.
this is across from Bucky's, correct?
You know where the that line of commercial space right there on the highway, This is in behind that. So access will go, is planned to go through drives that go up into directly across the street, like, across the highway. 93 acres in this portion.
Hang on.
There's some elevation over there, but there was a lot more elevation before Bucky started, so. I know, I would have thought the same thing until I saw half that mountain disappear over the last. It is, there is a change in elevation.
Already been sold, correct?
Oh, I know, my understanding.
This,
For me, I'm gonna leave it.
but that's the ordinance is to move it from residential to commercial.
I understand. And then there's another resolution that will
Next.
be
Yeah.
to make it school
Conditional.
district from C3 to school district.
No, not school district. Give them a condition to
Conditional.
use, once it's taken from residential. commercial, then they're asking for actually for conditional use.
I,
It's a private school. If you go out there and look at it, I mean, you get a better feel for the property that we're talking about. Same individual who sold this property. So. Developing that frontage. Their service, service
And that was-
highway.
Yeah, that was the point I was hoping to make, was the property that we're talking about is not frontage property.
It's not.
Well,
property.
it's well off to the back of what they're looking to develop off there on the frontage, correct?
Correct.
for the road.
You do the conditional. Okay.
Animal services.
Doing the other one? Or we already talked about the. Okay. All the same services. Order to start by establishing forums.
Jeff Ham,
Stateway, Trevor, Huntsville, Harry Parsons, problem.
after those items. Steve Brown.
Move on to the statement of FOIA compliance roll call, saying that I have not engaged in activities of discussion, deliberation, and polling regarding any items outside of proper notice of open meeting, compliance with Arkansas Freedom of Information Act, amended by Act 505.
Jeff Ham,
Yes.
Steve Lee, Trevor Lyons,
Yes.
Judd Hart. Yes. Jeff Morrow, Bill Donner, Elvin Reed,
Yes.
Ian Spencer Cole, Steve Brown,
Yes.
Frank Baker.
These approval of minutes, all recent minutes, do I need a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion in second, all those in favor, say aye. All opposed? Next item on the agenda is the update on the grant. Last meeting, it is grant opportunities. in Arkansas. Terry, give us an update on wins.
On the grant, I know there's $12 million worth of money available, and there's $400 million request. It hurt. Very soon. 500.
That was for the.
Correct.
Also, that too, I know there were a lot of other entities. Have over $400 million in request for, 10 million. Whatever it was, and that's not stuff happens. Next item on the agenda, new services to be provided at the new shelter.
Hey, as you know, we're when we move into the new shelter. We would like to start doing, provide services, you see on the sheet. Some of them we've been outsourcing. In-house. Later middle next year when we go RC certified vet tech. Be able to assist on that, this, and also, we can get a vet to come in and start doing our surgeries in-house instead of, sourcing it out. Also, this will provide low cost stay and do clinical assistance.
Are all the ones on the list with the price, or is it, which one of the new services?
You know, they're all new, they're all.
This is up for discussion.
Yes, sir. We do, we have a $20 swing. It's great.
we have any like estimated revenue? for next year?
I have ran the numbers on it and, conservative numbers, it's gonna almost cover the salary for city. Yes. Yes, in the budget, but we're not gonna feel it.
Any other questions on services? All right, moving on, next item of business is an update on pollution.
We had our pre-construction meeting today on the new shelter. Looks like there's target date, turn it over to see this December. Yes, sir. The only thing that we found was doing our measurements for pet kennels. Everybody missed it. Store put the wrong place. Yes.
Hopefully we'll be moving. So,
Mayor, with the rates, do we not need an ordinance to approve those?
we'll run
Or is
it
that
back next month. This is kind of like.
just making sure we did? Yes.
We've already purchased, and they're on, they've ordered and on the way. The council approved that, last week. So, we'll be able to occupy because they're supposed to install.
Terry, how are we looking on the, budget of the park?
We've had a couple of changes. Call. I can pass on the three walls. Down. Things like that.
That's the one they're making us see. Being optimistic. I think, yeah, the people, they're very good for the roads. Nice, good food. Maybe it's smart, it's a good.
Trevor, $2 that affects about shutdowns.
It was not, I think it was Moody's that. See that they've not program to this health. Explains the, Any other questions or things to come before the Human Services? That's me. Step right up.
Tell us your name first.
Deborah Clifford. I live off of Bridgewater. I was just recently informed that I'm not in compliance with my chickens and I get the 50 from a building that's not mine. But is this including my home as well? And if so, why would it be considered in my yard? What's the difference in having a doghouse? If I promise to see that clean. Think about it. Y'all have an awesome team with that. They have been amazing. Or anything, and I'm trying to do all they can to help with this situation. But I've had them since March of this year, and then all of a sudden, yes, I don't have a rooster anymore. Miss Officer Bailey's been out there, and she was there when I had the rooster, but we didn't know he was a rooster until he started crowing. So we have gotten rid of him. She has been out there twice. There's no foul odors being at all. And these aren't, and I can promise you they for eggs. I've given one every other day so far. So it's not about just the eggs. These are my chickens or my pets. I sit out there with them. I sit inside there with them in the front. And we get treats and we talk and they get in my lap and stuff like that. My grandkids love them. And I'm trying to just do anything I can. Because where they are right now, I can move them to the middle of my backyard and never be more than 50 feet from my house. It would be about 12 feet from my house. And I just want to keep little hens. If I have any more roosters, I'm going to pull my hair out. The first set I had of 6 chickens, 5 were roosters. So I'm getting rid of roosters when they show themselves as a rooster. And these are my babies. I mean, do I benefit from eggs? I hope to, because we're going to get one right now every day. I hope to get more eggs, but if I can be an advocate for anyone else that's still trying to keep chickens, if it's just our house is the problem, I guess I want to know what is the purpose in it being 50 feet from my I totally believe I was totally. I don't have neighbors in the backyard. I will never be able to have neighbors with just straight up hill. So I can't, like an officer Valley suggested, maybe can you see if owning the land behind your fence? They would be going uphill if I did, so that wouldn't work. But we did today. We measured before I came here to make sure I can comply with the 50 feet from neighbors when we can. So my question is there any leg room to say for the person that owns the home? Letting them keep it within, if it's not 50 feet from their home, and if not, is there really the reasoning behind it? It's my yard, but like I said, I would, if I was stinky, I would totally get it. Because I can't stand stinky either. But if I'm keeping up with this, the smell and the noise, I just want to know what the barrier between my yard.
Way the ordinance is written. Says it. Take into consideration. It's written, speak with.
And the officer made the wheel to the very back to the fence. It was 30 feet to the fence. Not in my yard. No, but I can comply to anybody else, but not from my home. No, sir.
Did, in the past, have we not, cause I remember when I was involved in all the pygmies and pigeons and some of those other different things. I was sort of voluntarily chairing those, but did we not have those where it was, again, from the side, it wasn't from the owner's home, but it was from the sides? Because I don't remember that one being a very deep backyard, but it was from their neighbors' houses, not their.
That's why I didn't know if it meant the homeowner's residence or residents in general.
About 35 feet.
Right. But the 50 feet from my home, I mean, I'm gonna smell it as, different than, I'm saying it's here, it's whether I have it 10 feet from my home or 50 feet from my home, it's still gonna be the 50 feet from them where they smell it. I don't have neighbors in my backyard. I only have left and right neighbors. I don't have a back neighbor, so it would never affect anything there. Yes, sir, y'all can maybe figure out, maybe to let it be that it's not be in the residence home that lives there. Like I said, I totally get those that are specific. Now, my COVID stuff, my husband built it's very supportive. It can be picked up and moved. It's gonna take some new home to pick up and move. But I have a run attached to it that used to be in my greenhouse. Because I got a new greenhouse now, so I have to run with that hardware cloth all around it that butts up to the poop during midnight. And that's another as far as noise at nighttime. They're in bed when the sun goes down. They're up once the sun comes up, but they're not noisy. My girls and the other people that have had has chickens in the neighborhood as well. I've never smelled any of them. I've never heard any of it. Not from mine. No, sir, no, and that's what I was wanting to know if that was, because I asked Officer Bailey, and then is this, are you sure that means from the homeowner's home as well, or does it mean just the residence side? That I could, she's just, bless her heart, she's just going by the ordinances that would be, and I just kind of wanted more knowledgeable on that, because, why would it have to be here? Can we talk about sometime down the road, to not be in the home? No, definitely don't have a neighbor. Sure, but I don't have a backyard. There's no water. I have no water lines going to them. I have no electricity going to them. How have you? Okay. I just kind of wanted more knowledge on it and to understand the whole about my resident, the person that owns the home. I guess I compared it to what's the difference in my dog sleeping in the backyard and having the dog house. That's not like, chickens, I clean them, but I clean my dog food up too, and I keep it all very clean and well maintained. And I get, I think that's also in one of the ordinance I was looking at, Google. It said that, you have to maintain that clean, you're not keeping it clean. I sure come get, with Austin. No, that, I just found out recently, it's apparently the POA complaining, which I don't understand why, when I emailed this, got permission to do it. So I don't, it's a new, it's a. Yeah, yeah. Hey, I've only been told this. I still got 30 days, so. Right, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Any other business to come before animal? Hearing none, we are adjourned.
Service. On up, Bruce.
All right, good evening. We're gonna, start the community service meeting for November the 10th. We do have a forum at this time, like to recognize, attendees, starting with my right with Councilman Banks,
Steve Brown.
Evelyn Reed,
Bruce Thomas.
John Hart, Trevor Lawrence.
Jeff Am.
as stated, we do have a forum, a statement of. I affirm that I have not engaged in any prohibited discussion, deliberation, or polling regarding any item on this agenda, meeting's agenda outside of a properly noticed and open meeting in compliance with the Arkansas Freedom of Information Act as amended by Act 505 of 2020. And roll, Steve Brown, Jeff Morrow, Frank Lapis.
Yeah.
Ian Spencer Coles, Bill Dodd, Doug Hart, Trevor Valance, Steve Lee. Jeff Ham.
Yes.
Evelyn Reed, yes. Okay, thank you. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the October minutes. We have a motion and a second, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes. Under new business, we have liens and code compliances for 609 Military Road, cleanup, 730 Alpha Road, cleanup, 1222 Cherry Lane, please.
609 Military Road is the CVS property. This is the second time we've cleaned it up. We received a check the first time and I anticipate same thing happening here. The easiest way I would clean up there. It's mainly brush. It's $1,322 for penalties and fees, $1,484.60 if they do not pay before it's installed. Second is 730 Alcoa Road. It's an abandoned house. House itself is in good condition. This is behind the barn and it looked like we had had some transient activities going on. And we have not been able to, the owners are deceased. We have not been able to touch with any next of kin, so we just need to. It's a lot of trash, some old tires, that sort of thing. 152236. Total of 1704.60. And the last address is 1222 Cherry Lane. This was a cleanup as well. It was pretty significant. Down by totals were 872.36 for a total of $989.60 if not paid.
And why did they, is anyone living there? Cherry Lane? It's like a nice.
It's actually been under remodel and construction for probably 2 years. You can see the dumpster in the front yard behind the top left-hand picture. That they're slowly working on the house, but they can just turn it in the spots. Correct.
See, Brett, see, Brett.
Discussion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye, any opposed? Motion carries. Old business. Discussions. And the other, we have the BRC monthly report. It says August on the back, it's October's, building committees. Anything else to come before this committee? We are adjourned. Thank you. Right. That's what I heard. That's what do you think?